reflect on deadline day? Obviously getting a deal for Alexander Isak over the line, not getting a deal for Marc Guehi over the line, and Harvey Elliott leaving the club.
Yeah. So a lot of things happened on the last day, which is not always the situation, because last season we hardly did anything during the whole window. But the thing that pleases me most is, of course, is us getting the deal from Alex over the line. Richard, ownership, everyone involved worked so hard to get that deal done, and it's very good for the club, for our fans, for the players, for me, that all the work they've put in resulted in Alex signing for us.
How close were you to getting the deal for Marc Guehi over the line, and therefore what chance is there that you will go back in for him? What chance do you feel there is that he will become a Liverpool player in the next 12 months?
Nah, I think it would be a bit ridiculous if I'm going to deny that we were close to signing him. That is so out in the open that would be ridiculous. These things happen in football. It happened to our players maybe in the past as well, that they thought they were so close on signing somewhere else, and then in the last moment things changed. And this can happen, and for me, we would have liked to sign him, of course, because we were in for him, and he was, like I've said many times, if we can feel we can strengthen the team with a chance in the market, we never hesitate to do so, and that's what we try to do. But we played 1 or 2 days before, we played Arsenal, where Ibu and Virgil played an outstanding game, and Joe came in 20 minutes before the end, Joe Gomez, and did outstanding as well. With us signing Giovanni Leone, who had his first international call-up, and Ryan and Watto that can play there. So it's not like all of a sudden we don't have options in that position anymore. It's a pity, but not only for us, but also for the player, I think. But he's in a good place, playing at Palace, where he won the Charity Shield and the FA Cup with a very good manager as well. So let's see what the future brings for him and for us.
Just to push it out, would you be thinking January or next summer?
If I'm thinking anything, you know that what I think, I don't tell you, but the thing I think most about is Burnley at the moment, I can assure you.
With that in mind, how ready is Alexander Isak to play for you and make his debut against Burnley? Because obviously he got his first minutes playing for Sweden against Kosovo. But I also got to ask you as well what you make of the criticism he's received over the way things ended at Newcastle, and what kind of impact that has had on him, if anything at all.
Now, first of all, I think the Swedish manager Jon Dahl Tomasson deserves a big compliment, because he gets one of the best, maybe the best striker in the world in, and needs to play 2 very important games for his country, but understands that if he would play him twice 90 minutes, then probably the player would have been injured for multiple weeks. And that's not always easy for a manager, that he takes care of the interest of a player. And so he deserves a big compliment for that. And we will treat Alex the same as they did. So don't expect him to be every single game 90 minutes on the pitch. That's definitely not going to happen in the upcoming weeks. He missed a proper preseason. I think he missed 3 or 4 months of team sessions. And so now we have to build him up gradually, with us playing so many games, hardly any training time. So that's going to be a challenge, but we've signed him not only for the upcoming 2 weeks, we've signed him for I think for 6 years. So yeah, this is what we have to keep in mind, and what the fans have to keep in mind if they see that I take him off at a certain moment, or I only bring him in for a small amount of minutes. That's all for the long-term fitness of the player.
And the criticism?
In football, there's always criticism. So sometimes people cheer for you. So I think after he won the League Cup, everyone was really happy with him. And in other moments, you get criticized. This is part of his life, my life, our jobs. And now he's a player from us, and I'm really happy with that.
So you mentioned Harvey as well, just obviously.
Yeah.
Harvey.
Yeah. Another positive thing, I think, not only Harvey, but if I look at Luis Diaz, how he hit the ground running at Bayern Munich is a big compliment for our performance staff and the people that work in this building. So every time a player leaves, Tyler Morton does really well at Olympique Lyon. So that tells you how we bring players to other clubs. And Harvey is in a very good place, going to a very nice club with Aston Villa. I think it's in the interest of everyone. He didn't get the playing time he probably deserved for the quality player he is, and he conducted himself always so well. So it wasn't only when he said that this was his club that he wanted to say this to the fans. He acted inside with him not playing so much, but he was always doing what was in the best interest of the club. So he deserves a big compliment for that. I know everybody always talks about Mo and Virgil and the others if we win the league, but players like him were definitely also the reason why we could win it, because he always was positive, and if he had to play 5 or 10 minutes, he helped the team. And in every session he did, and that is partly the success of a team, that the ones that don't play that much have the right mindset. And I think he's completely ready now to show the quality he has at Aston Villa.
Arne, when you look at what Isak brings to the club, aligned with Mo and Ekitike and Wirtz and Gakpo, do you feel now you've got a core and variety in your squad to change games should you need to?
Yes, I do feel, but if the question is that the first time since you're a Liverpool manager, then the answer is no, because last season I could change games around with Diogo, with Darwin, with Lucio, with those three players that are not one for the reasons we all know, the other two that were sold. So yeah, that is what a club like Liverpool, what Jurgen probably could do in the past as well. This is normal at our club, that we have multiple options and that we can change the game if necessary.
And looking ahead to this weekend, granted, players only just coming back from international duty, do you have a relatively clean bill of health? How are you shaping it for this weekend?
If the players are fit, that's I think they are. We trained today for the first time with them. With most of them, the non-internationals did train with the under-21s this week already. Curtis Jones, of course, I don't know if you knew, but he got injured in the last game, so he will not be available for the game against Burnley. But I think the rest of them all came back without a problem, and that is almost... that's not always the situation, especially not in the beginning of the season, where everybody comes from a different background, going to the national team where they then all of a sudden have to play 2 games in 4 or 5 days, which is always the biggest risk in November and October, and in March they are much more used to that program. So we are happy that they are fit, and again, a compliment not only for the Swedish manager but also for the others, because a few others like Ryan Gravenberg didn't only started 1 game and not both of them.
And in terms of Burnley, obviously they got promoted last season. Scott Parker's developed a team with a reputation for being defensively solid. What do you expect this weekend? How will we need to approach it?
Defensively solid, but I don't give them enough credit if I only talk about that, because first goal they scored against Sunderland was a great team goal. Good team, but yeah, like all the others, we know. My experience from last season is when the teams that were relegated now, so I replaced them for the ones that promoted. We had problems at Ipswich, we had problems at Leicester, and we had problems at Southampton, and problems with we only won it in the end phase of the game, so yeah, there's we know that every game is difficult, and I only have to look back at last season to understand that. Thank you.
Arne, we're obviously very familiar with what Alexander Isak can do on the pitch, but from your interactions with him, what do you make of his characteristics as a person? At Newcastle, he seemed very all business and able to kind of separate the emotion in a really kind of focused way. Do you think that's maybe even helped him across the summer, and is that anything that you see?
Yeah, maybe people don't believe me if I give you this answer, but I haven't spoken to him that much. So I spoke to him after he signed by phone, because he had to go to the national team. And the way I 99 out of 100 times treat my players during international breaks is I leave them for the manager that they are working with over there. So I text him maybe now once or twice because he's new to us, wanted to know how he did. But I do have to get to know him as a person much better in the upcoming days and weeks. but although we find it very important how someone is to because we have such a great culture here at this club, we mainly sign a player also for his qualities, and therefore I don't need to call him. We faced him a few times. I faced him a few times, and I know what a quality player he is.
And with how the deals worked out, getting done for Isak on deadline day, but not for Guehi, do you see any changes in modern football now where for players to truly get what they want, they might have to take things upon themselves, or do you think they were just individual circumstances?
The last one, I think. I don't think you can compare any situation with another. A different ownership, different situation. I think you cannot compare these. I'm really happy that Alex signed for us, because I did feel all the way that we needed an attacking player extra, and so happy that we could bring in the one we wanted from the start.
Hi Arne. Your first defeat last season came straight after the first international break against Nottingham Forest. I just wonder if there was anything from the circumstances last season that have helped you prepare for the first game after the international break this time around?
Now, if there's anything I've learned from that, then we implemented that already last season, and I think it was the only time that we lost a game after the international break. But it's always difficult. You never know what is exactly the reason. At that moment of time, I was maybe a bit focused on us, the first one after the international break. But looking at the season Forest had after that, I think it has much more to do with their quality than it had to do with the first game after the international break.
And I just wondered how Chiesa has reacted to not being selected in the Champions League squad.
Of course, that is one of the most difficult things you have to do as a manager. For a player not to play is not always easy to tell him, but not to be in the squad is always more difficult. And I just explained him why we made this choice, and of course he wasn't happy with that, but I think he understood my arguments. That's not to say that he agreed with them, but he didn't tell me, by the way, that he didn't agree with them. But he gave the answer you want to hear from a player, that he will be there to help the team in all the in the cups and in the league, and that's one thing to say. But I think he also showed this because he wasn't selected, but he worked really hard in these days to be ready for the upcoming games, and that is even more important than what a player tells you.
Well, last question, please.
Hi Arne. You scored more goals than any other team in the league this season without creating a massive amount of high value chances. If you look at the expected goals average, I think it's just over one a game. Against a team like Burnley, who appear to be really happy to concede possession, how do you make sure that your time on the ball is as efficient as it can be?
Yeah. To implement as best as possible the way we want to play, but in the end, the final third is mainly for we do certain patterns, that's also clear, but it's also a form of the day of our wingers mainly, because you end up, because of their playing style, mostly on the side. So the better they are, the bigger threat they are, the more chances we will generate, and then it's 9 out of 10 times also about the score. Because if you can score an early goal, that normally helps you in a game like that, and if you don't, or even worse, you concede a goal in the beginning, that gives even more energy to the other team. So there are so many factors going into a game like that. But as always, we are hoping that our attackers can make the difference, and that's what they have to do every single game, attackingly, but not only attackingly, because if we lose the ball and we're really good in our counter pressing, that can generate chances as well. So yeah, that is for me the biggest lesson of our game against Arsenal. There, where in the first half we weren't front-footed enough in terms of our pressing, and in the second half we were. I think Arsenal were front-footed in the first half in terms of their pressing. We were at the second half, and as a result of that, I think we deserved to score the goal in the second half, because we already scored one, which was fractionally offside, and we were getting closer and closer. And in the end, I think we even deserved to score that goal based on the second half, not based on the first half.